Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and it's hump day, and I spilled my tea.
Oh, he definitely spilled his tea.
All over the floor.
It was a mess.
We had to make another one.
Yes, we did.
Sorry.
It's all good.
And as you can tell, as always, joining me is my beautifully understanding wife and co-host, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome all listeners to Wednesday. Keep calm, because it's only Wednesday, and we still have 2 more days to go.
Only 2 more.
To spill tea on 2 more days.
Yeah. Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for that.
Well, why don't we jump right into the story so I'll enjoy my morning cup of brew. What did you brew this morning?
Okay, Shaggy. Oh, sorry, Scooby. Well, I made white tea. I put some chamomile flowers, elderflower, and I put a little bit of lemon peel to give it kind of like a citrusiness.
Okay, that's interesting. The lemon's coming through really strong. Yeah, it's a solid 4. I like it.
Well, for any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, would I be the a-hole for asking my dad to divorce his wife because she's ruining our lives?
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Throwaway because my dad knows my main. My parents divorced 6 years ago. Me, 15 female, and my sisters, 13 female, dad, 42 male, remarried last year to Nina, 32 female. She was nice at first, but then everything started changing because of her. She took over most of the cooking. It's not that she's a bad cook, but we don't like many things she cooks. She asked what meals we like, and she'll cook them sometimes, but mostly it's things that my dad and her like. When my sister and I complain, my dad says that we need to eat more healthy and that it's not good for us to be so picky. In the past, my dad used to cook himself a meal and make separate meals for us based on what we liked because he knew we didn't like what he ate. I asked, why can't we just keep doing that? He said it wasn't sustainable because he was spending more than 2 hours doing that. And now it doesn't make sense for 2 people to be cooking in the kitchen at the same time. And if Nina already wants to be in the kitchen making dinner for everyone, it saves time and he doesn't want to get in her way. He said if we really hate what she's cooked, they won't force us to eat it and we're more than welcome to make our own arrangements like sandwiches. We don't know how to cook. He said he's always been willing to teach us, but just that we never wanted to learn. Well, our mom didn't teach us either, so how is that our fault? He admits he's partly to blame for just getting pizza or fast food in the past when he was too tired after work to cook. But he wants to improve things now and make sure we're getting proper nutrition. But I miss that, and I don't think it's fair that she gets to make what she wants. It's not just that. In the past, he used to come to our mom's place to wait or help pack our things when we visited him. We go over every weekend and Wednesdays. Now, he just waits in the car or on the porch. He never comes inside. He says it's because we're old enough to pack our own stuff now, but I'm pretty sure that's not why. In the past, we went on 2 family vacations, which were super fun. He stopped doing that ever since he started dating Nina. I asked Dad why, and he confessed that he was never comfortable with it. But he did it because it made us happy and he liked seeing that. But now that he's married, he thinks it's not appropriate and that there needs to be boundaries. Like my parents were married 10 years. And even after the divorce, he'd be in my mom's place. Why do there need to be boundaries now? He's just coming inside. It's not a big deal. We're still a family to me and my sister. I don't like that he stopped acting like it just because of his new wife. I feel like if he divorced her, we'd be way happier. Our happiness used to come first to him, and now I feel it doesn't. Nina's not mean to us, but I feel like she's ruined everything. We were a family before she ever came into the picture, so she has no right to mess with that and change it all. I just want things back the way they were. Am I the a-hole?
What a spicy meatball to start Wednesday off with. So let me see if I understand the story. OP is 15.
Correct.
Okay, so we're seeing this through a 15-year-old girl's eyes.
Yes.
Okay. From the onset, unfortunately, this story makes ROP sound like a bit of a brat.
Just a bit.
I'm trying to make sure that I also keep it into consideration that we are talking about a child. She sounds very selfish. And I understand that it sucks when you have parents that are divorced. You know, there was a way things used to be, but you're going to understand as you get older and move through life that things will never stay the same, ever. Nor should they. That's not something you should be aiming for in your life. Change is good. Maybe sometimes not all change is good, but for the most part, you're going to find that having change and evolving is something that is very human. And that's what it sounds like your father's doing right now. He found someone to share the rest of his life with. I think her name is Nina?
Correct.
Sounds like that they've started to talk about what their boundaries were. Because our OP explains that now her father doesn't come into the house anymore to help them pack and get ready to go on their either weekends or Wednesdays visits.
Correct. It looks like Wednesdays and weekends seem to be with the mother.
Yeah. So, you know, he's starting to put boundaries there that are healthy. Obviously, our OP doesn't like that, but I understand from her point of view that they are still a family. Yes, you are still a family. That is still your father, but you're not the only one in your father's life. Now, we'll get into like the meat of the story and where it all kind of starts into is, I think it was the cooking that was the issue.
That was the first issue, yes.
Nina likes to cook a certain way and certain meals, and the girls don't like it. Fair enough. The father gives them options. Hey, you don't like that food? Feel free to cook something. Her argument to that was, you never taught us how to cook. And also their mother didn't teach them how to cook. That is dropping the ball as a parent. You do definitely need to be. I understand the argument is sometimes people just don't have the time or the resources to give to their kids. I'm going to tell you that if there's a will, there's a way. You definitely owe your kids at least the fundamentals of teaching them how to cook. It's a good life skill. So yeah, I can see. And he even acknowledges that, I believe, that he dropped the ball on that. All right, I can respect that as a parent. At least you understand where that was. And going forward, though, he is trying to fix those things. They are trying to make sure that the girls are eating healthier. Obviously, she's stuck in her ways and she is a kid.
Where's my pizza?
Yeah, they want to eat their junk food and all the stuff that it sounds like through his going through their breakup or divorce, he was kind of lax in his stuff from day to day. We all get in ruts like that. You end up making decisions that you otherwise wouldn't for your kids and what they eat. And that kind of sounds like what OP was having the run of the house with, was the way what she wanted is what she got. And then I guess we'll come back to the other problem was they liked that he was coming to their house and packing up their stuff before his visitations. That shouldn't be on your father at all. Now I understand through a certain age, but at 15, your dad shouldn't be helping you pack to come stay over. I think that's a little much.
That apparently happens twice every week.
Yeah, at 15, you should already have that down without the assistance of your dad, but everyone's different, I guess. It sounds like she's been a little more spoiled through her writing. Again, we're dealing with a child. I definitely believe that this OP is the a-hole. Understand that change comes and your dad solely isn't existing on this earth to be your father. He has other things he's doing with his life now too.
Well, the consensus? Definitely the a-hole. In fact, there was a 15-year-old that came on and said, I can't believe how selfish this all is, which I thought was really funny. Additionally, there was a lot of commenters that said, wait, your stepmom isn't mean to you. She just cooks different things. Make sure that she cooks some of the things that you like, and your dad isn't packing up your stuff, and that's what you have an issue with.
Yeah.
Additionally, I found it a little weird when I heard the family vacations. It sort of snapped in my head the reason why it was weird. I don't think it was a family vacation that was the dad and the two girls. It was with the dad and the mom and the two girls, but they're no longer together.
Got it.
It's like forcing a family situation when for dad and mom, they're no longer a couple.
See, but she understands that too. I wonder if there's just like a hope that they get back together. You're looking at it through a 15-year-old's lens.
So she says no. In fact, in her comments, she says she wants her dad to divorce, but he can still date Nina in her own place. That's why everything will fix, because she'll no longer be in the house and therefore no longer will be a part of the
family unit.
Exactly.
Interesting.
I personally think it's very selfish.
Sure.
It sounds like her father's tried to make a lot of concessions to make his kids happy. He's done it so much that he no longer had his own breathing room and identity there. And as a parent, I think there needs to be a happy balance. As a parent, you are that. That is a facet of who you are, but it's not entirely all that you are.
Nope.
Now, I think them being super picky when it comes to eating, I think it's a little ridiculous that it sounds like her father's worked and then has come home and has worked 2 hours to make 2 separate meals.
Yeah.
I think that's a little much. And the fact that you don't see that your dad went beyond the mile and you can't.
I mean, at 15, I know I was cooking for my siblings. So
I never had anybody teach me how to cook. I watched my mother, yes, but I never had the instructions. I either, when I got older, went online and found a recipe, asked for a recipe, or I burned so many eggs and even top ramen. I burned top ramen. There's just things that you learn along the way, and it's not easy. Of course, never anything's easy. Riding a bike has never been easy. Learning to walk or run or play a sport is never easy, but just like everything else, with practice, you get better.
Sure. Well, hopefully Reddit gave our 15-year-old a eye-opener.
Oh, they did. Oh, it was a huge eye-opener. Between people trying to be soft about it to people being extremely harsh about it, I still see this as she's 15.
She's a kid.
Well, let's see what's going to happen in this next story. Am I the a-hole for overreacting after my wife lied about our baby's gender? I, 32 male, and my wife, 25 female, are expecting our first child. I've reacted in ways I'm now questioning and need outside perspective. Background. My childhood was a tumultuous one. Growing up, I always craved a strong male figure in my life. I never had that bond with my father and always envisioned having it with my son. My wife was aware of this deep-rooted desire. During her first pregnancy appointments, I was on an essential business trip. These trips, though draining, are critical since I'm the only breadwinner, trying to ensure a different life for my child than I had. In my absence, my wife and her adopted mother attended the checkups. Upon my return, she excitedly told me we were having a boy. We invested emotionally and financially, a blue nursery, boy-themed items, even naming him after my late grandfather. However, a chance remark from her mother disclosed we're having a girl. My wife admitted she knew from the beginning but didn't tell me, thinking she was protecting my feelings. I was devastated, feeling the weight of past hurts and fresh betrayals. In my pain, I cleared out the nursery and, in a moment I regret, told her mother she wasn't welcome at upcoming family events, seeing her as part of the deceit. I acted out of deep-seated emotions and past traumas. I love my wife and regret my reactions, but I feel lost. Am I the a-hole for how I responded?
This is a whole spaghetti plate meatball. I forget the words. This one's really bad. Let's get started into this. OP is in his 30s and his wife is 25.
Correct.
They are having a baby. She is pregnant. The OP is, in his words, the breadwinner. He's going on a business trip. He says that during this business trip, his wife and her adoptive mom go to the ultrasound to see a gender reveal. They find out during that they are having a daughter. But in fact, unfortunately, when he arrives home, she tells ROP that they are having a son. The biggest question I have in here is, why would you tell that lie? In his happiness, they go and buy all the fixings for getting the nursery all ready. And I guess at some point along the way, he's having a conversation with his mother-in-law. I'm guessing to do with the baby. And this is what I'm leaning into. Does the mother-in-law have any idea that this happened? That the lie was concocted?
So there's no way to tell for sure. In our case, he actually just puts that she just does a chance remark, which is why he figures it out. And while he does put that he sees her as part of the deceit, he never actually puts anywhere that she deceived him at all.
Okay.
Well, so I have to assume she wasn't a part of it.
That's kind of where I'm leaning towards is, that's why I asked, because it doesn't sound like she was a part of the lie, but she's getting the brunt of the punishment by being, because once ROP finds out about the lie, he tells the mother-in-law that she's no longer allowed to be a part of their lives. That's pretty harsh, especially if she wasn't a part of it. I wonder why punishing her that way was correct in his mind. And besides kicking the mother out of their lives, basically, he then throws everything out of the nursery. Gets rid of it is what he says.
Correct.
We don't know what he does exactly with it or how it was done. Are we talking about throwing it all out the window, screaming, yelling, and all that stuff? Or are we talking about taking it apart and bringing it back to the stores you bought it to get the refunds? I don't know. He doesn't explain that.
I would hope it's the later.
So I guess what I'm going to fall into on this one is I feel like there's more to the story when it comes to his pressure that he put on his wife. I just don't feel like you lie about something that big without there being pressure. So I'm going to say this. I think that everyone's the a-hole. I think that he's the a-hole because I'm telling you, there's probably some undue pressure that he put on her. But I can also say that his wife lying about something that big is a problem. And if you felt that you were pushed into that corner because of whatever, maybe there's not pressure. Maybe I'm assuming too much. If you felt that you were pushed into that corner, you guys definitely need to go get yourselves into some type of counseling, because it sounds like there's a lot more about your relationship that we don't know about. Because I just don't see fundamentally why someone would lie about something that big. So again, I think everyone's the a-hole, and I wish we knew more about it.
I also wish we knew more about it. And the consensus was everyone really sucks here. In fact, let me go ahead and read a comment, although this one ranges more on you're the a-hole, but I think it provided me with just a little bit of an eye-opener here. The commenter says, children aren't emotional support animals. I'm guessing your wife lied because she was scared of your reaction and also wanted to save her feelings because she knew you'd become a huge bummer once you found out. You need therapy immediately to deal with your issue. Any healthy baby that is delivered earth side is a miracle, no matter the gender. My husband and I have tried for the past 7 years to get pregnant, and I've had 5 miscarriages. Remember just how lucky you are that your wife is pregnant and assumably carrying a healthy baby. You're the a-hole. While this is a comment on one end because of their experiences and how they feel, I believe it really does stem into why it is that he's the a-hole regarding this situation. The other half, it's clearly just because she lied. You shouldn't lie, especially about something that big. There's no way that, in my mind, I can imagine it turning out good in the future for you to even have started that. I think one of the reasons why there was a lot of you're the a-holes here regarding our poster is because it makes him feel like he's trying to use a child to fix something that's broken in him. Something that he knows he lacks, but rather than trying to find that and reflect in himself, he's put so much into this that it's put undue pressure on her.
Sure. And that's where I was coming at, where it's like, how much pressure did you put on her to tell that lie?
I think the thing that makes it difficult here is hormones are crazy when you're pregnant. I can imagine had she not been probably hormonal and dealing with everything between the body changes, the feelings, and all of it in between, and then his feelings on top of that it was hard for her to truly think rationally and just say, look, that's not a good idea. Let me just go ahead and let him know we're having a girl. But it's so difficult. I can't even understand the plights that she might be going through or the true disappointment that he might be dealing with, especially when you feel like somebody that you love is lied to you about something so large. I think one of the reasons why the everyone sucks here was put on this is because what makes you think that lying would stop him from hurting when your lie has just hurt him more?
No one wants to feel betrayed. That's not good in a relationship. So I can understand that. But again, there is a lot of this story that I wish we knew more about their relationship because it doesn't sound healthy. There's stuff we're missing and he omitted.
Agreed. Well, let's go ahead and go to our next story. And I promise it's not going to be any family problems. Am I the a-hole for confronting my roommate? So I, 23 female, have a roommate, Gwen, 19 female. And we share an apartment. Gwen works night shifts at CVS from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. She typically gets home around 6:30 a.m. On days I work, I have to get up at 7 a.m. I have a really bad issue of sleeping through alarms, so she gets up at 7 on days I work so that I don't oversleep. I don't set my alarm anymore because she works Tuesday through Saturday and I work Wednesday through Saturday. So she's always available to get me up at 7 a.m. She knows I don't set an alarm. Anyway, a few days ago, she did not wake me up and I ended up sleeping in until 8 a.m. I was extremely late to work because of this and got in trouble with my boss because of it. I was super pissed about this, so I confronted her about this when I got home. She told me that her shift relief called out, so she had to stay until noon and was not able to go home. I told her she could have at least called me to try to wake me up. She just kept making excuses about how she couldn't make phone calls at work, even though she could have just went to the bathroom. When I tried to explain this to her, she claimed I am ungrateful for her waking me up and said she won't do it anymore. I called her immature for trying to avoid her responsibility, and she called me self-centered. I went to my room because I was tired of the disrespectful things she was calling me. The next morning, she was gone again when I got up for work and texted me saying she wouldn't be back until late morning because she and her brother went out to eat breakfast after she got off work. This really upset me because it felt like she was throwing in my face her lack of responsibility, so I didn't respond. When I got off work and came home, I told her she is being petty and that she could at least be civil since she wants to avoid her responsibilities. She called me a horrible roommate and told me that she can't tolerate living with me anymore. We started arguing. She ended up leaving the apartment crying, and now she won't answer any of the texts or calls. I know I may have said some rude things in the heat of the moment, but I felt really disrespected by her actions and was trying to communicate that. Am I the a-hole?
'Tis peak, my lord. You're a terrible roommate. How old is OP?
23.
Okay. And I think roommate's like 19 or something.
Correct.
Okay. At 23 years of age, it is no one's responsibility to wake you up.
Are you sure?
This story scrambles my brain. How do you have the right to tell anyone, especially a roommate, that they need to wake you up? She even gives her great examples as to why she couldn't. She had to work an extra shift, I guess?
Correct.
And she couldn't make phone calls. Those are good reasons for not being able to call someone to wake them up. I'm failing to understand this OP. It sounds like she's not really good at taking accountability for anything, and that sucks. That makes you not just a bad roommate, but a bad person. You're going to find a lot of people aren't going to hang out with you as life goes on. I definitely 100% believe you are the wiener jacket in this situation. You drove your roommate off because you believe they owed you a favor, and it was their, quote, responsibility to wake you up every day. You have really weird views on what other people's responsibilities to you are. I think you definitely need to grow up.
Well, the consensus is she's definitely the a-hole. So let me go ahead and start off by letting everyone know that she actually tries to support her piece inside the comments section, where we had a lot of Redditors asking questions as to what was said in the second argument to be so bad. And she said that the argument started about her waking me up and progressed to other things. She called me messy and a slob that she feels like she has to clean up after. She also claims she does 80% of the chores, which I do not agree with. Even if she was having these issues, she has never said anything about it before. That's just an insert. So I would just like to go ahead and remind everyone, the roommate is 19 years old. I imagine she probably hasn't gotten that backbone yet when it comes to dealing with people that aren't in her family.
Sure.
Now, some commenters questioned what it is that our poster said that was really bad. So our poster actually let commenters know that in the second argument, she had actually called her roommate petty. And then on top of that, told her that she was a bitch with a shitty attitude. Now, some people were curious. What kind of chores is it that gets done that has everything so up in a tiffy? And she says that she tends to leave some clothes around the place, and I guess her roommate comes and picks them up and then washes them and gives her her clothes for her to do, but she doesn't like to see the place a mess. And then on top of that, she says she leaves the dishes dirty in the sink for a few days, and her roommate comes and cleans it up. So in the comment section, they asked, what do you think is the reasonable amount of time to leave dishes in the sink? And she said,
the answer is none days.
I think washing the dishes once per week or week and a half is fine. It's not like we cook huge feasts every day.
That's gross.
I can understand why it is that her roommate has a problem with her and calls her a slob. You treat the entire living space as your laundry basket, to where this 19-year-old girl is picking up after you. You don't wash the dishes, not even for a couple days out. I can understand leaving dishes till the next morning and then washing them. Personally, that's just the way I roll. I've seen people leave dishes in the sink for 2 days. I don't like it. I think it smells.
Everyone's allowed their own habits, I guess.
But you leave your dishes dirty in the sink for a week to a week and a half when you have roommates?
Well, she would know this. As long as she leaves it alone, she doesn't have to deal with the responsibility. That's what I said before. She's not really good at handling accountability for herself. And I'm happy that the roommate's about to get out.
I think for me, it comes down to, at least when it comes to washing dishes and having roommates, sure, you might not be using those items in that time. But how do you know that that pot that you didn't wash isn't going to get used by your roommate to cook something? Now she's got to clean up your mess.
Just to be able to cook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's
she leaves a
roommate
huge
etiquette.
mess in the sink. I can't tell you how unhappy I get when my sink is dirty and I try and cook.
Dirty clothes on the floor that she washes for you. You are entitled beyond. And I'm shocked that you were able to swing these type of things with a roommate. Outside of maybe you're holding it over her head that you're paying more for rent. So she gets to do all these other things for you, but that's still not proper.
Not even a little.
So I'm happy that your roommate's finally seen this and walking away. And hopefully you learn some accountability for your actions and how you live your life, because you can't be bossing people around like that and expecting someone to wake you up as an adult.
Just have a little etiquette when you're living with other people.
Or she's going to learn.
Well, let's go to our next story and see what's happening when it comes to this potential wedding. I love weddings.
Not so much on this channel.
Am I the a-hole for not wanting to wear the ugly mother of the groom outfit my future daughter-in-law picked out?
Oh, let's hear this.
My son, 23, and his fiance, 23, are getting married in early September. I, 44 female, was assigned coral as my color and picked out a fancy Calvin Klein dress in coral. It's called the Starburst dress, and it's a satin-type material. She wanted me to try it on the other day and has now decided it's not motherly enough and wants me to wear this ugly chiffon pantsuit. I told her I'm fine with what I got, and I'm not sure precisely what the issue is with my dress. I offered to wear a shawl if my shoulders showing is the issue, but she said no, it's too sexy, period, and I need to look like a mother and dress my age. I told her she is being ridiculous and I would rather just not go. Now she is all mad and my son is upset and trying to mediate. Am I the a-hole? Would you like to see these dresses?
I was about to ask you, do we have pictures?
Yes, we do. So this is the ugly dress.
Okay, that is a dress.
It's a pantsuit dress.
And that's the one the bride wants her to wear.
Correct.
Okay.
And this is the dress that her mother-in-law wants to wear.
Okay. I don't see a problem with that. I thought we were about to walk into like full on almost a wedding dress situation again.
No, I think it's a very nice dress.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the arms showing, I mean, you can go ahead and put a jacket or a shawl. So I totally get that. I don't think it's inappropriate at all.
I thought we were about to see something else. So now that we have what the dresses look like, let's get into the story. OP's in her 40s. I think she's 44.
Correct.
She has a son that is getting married. And I guess the mother-in-law, ROP, is given a color. Not so much the dress, I guess, but the color, coral. So she finds a coral dress that she likes. She proceeds to, I think she's already bought it in this story.
Yes.
Shows the fiance, and she doesn't want anything to do with it.
That's too much curves, girl.
Yeah, she's like, you need to dress your age. What? But the dress you did show us, that I guess she's saying her mother-in-law should be wearing, that is age appropriate, looks like exactly how she said it. It looks very old-fashioned and unflattering.
It's like you're going to church.
Yeah, it is very church attire, I would say. What exactly is the mother-in-law doing in the wedding? Is she a part of something?
She doesn't specify.
Is she just showing up? Okay, see, that's a big thing too, though. If she's a part of the wedding, unfortunately, you do get to fall under that, hey, I tell you what to wear and you're going to wear it, or you're not a part of it. So her and the fiance go back and forth on this issue. She does not think that she should be wearing that dress. OP says, fine, these are the options. I wear the dress, or I'm not coming to the wedding. Simple enough. I guess now we're at the point where the son is trying to, like she says, mediate the whole situation because it's gotten out of hand. I don't see why letting her have that dress, because it's not outlandish. We're not talking about something completely crazy. But I do understand if she feels threatened by the mom. Is that what she's like doing here? Because I've come to understand this. When people force people to wear things, it's normally because they're like threatened by the appearance of a...
So you think that she thinks the mom looks too attractive?
Maybe that's what she's saying, that the mom's got too much going on.
I can see it.
So I guess we'll kind of key in on exactly what ROP is asking. If she's the a-hole for not wanting to wear the dress, I don't think you're the a-hole for not wanting to wear the dress. You gave them your thoughts about it. For some reason, she has a way of looking about it. It is your right not to wear it. And it also is their right to not invite you.
Well, the consensus is our poster is not the a-hole. In fact, she actually lets us know in the comments section that, you know, her daughter-in-law has seemed a bit controlling. She likes to have things done her way. But she might reach out to her mother and actually find out what she thinks about this whole thing, or if she's being mandated to wear a certain dress.
Whether or not that helps, I don't know, but I guess it could be an interesting talking piece.
It would be better than not trying.
I mean, the good thing is the OP understands that if she doesn't want to wear that dress, she's just not going to be coming to the wedding. There isn't some unreal expectation that she gets to call the shots on what she wants to wear. She'll show up in whatever she wants.
I think that's where the issue truly stems. And she actually says it in the comments section. She says, the issue isn't that she said, choose another dress to wear, please, because I don't think I like that one.
She gave her the dress.
She told her this pink chiffon pantsuit.
Got it.
Monstrosity in our poster's vision is what she has to wear.
Why are you so threatened by your future mother-in-law's dress? Now that's going to put some pressure on the son because he is mediating all of this. So maybe they'll give an update down the road and we'll get to hear exactly how that plays out, because it sounds like a rock in a hard place.
It does. Well, let's go on to our last story of the day. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my stepson, 12 male, to live with us? I have 2 boys, 10 male and 5 male, and I'm getting married in a few weeks to my boyfriend who has a 12 son from a previous relationship. My future husband's son asked his dad if he could come live with us after we get married because he wants to experience a genuine family dynamic with parents and siblings, given that his biological parents never married anyone else. My husband is on board with this idea, believing it would contribute positively to the boy's personal growth. I expressed to my husband that I have reservations about having him live with us based on observations during the weekends he spends at our place. Firstly, he appears to have a strained relationship with my younger son. He rarely includes him in activities unless I specifically prompt him to do so. When I ask him to assist the younger boy, such as accompanying him to the bathroom, he does so with obvious reluctance. Secondly, he displays an excessive competitive streak towards my older son. He consistently aims to outperform him and even taunts him when he succeeds. I find this overly competitive atmosphere uncomfortable. I desire my children to grow up in a nurturing and supportive environment. The third and most significant concern is his academic and behavioral performance. My boyfriend has informed me that his son has been struggling academically and has faced minor behavioral challenges. I am concerned about his potential negative influence on my children, particularly my older son. My husband dismisses these concerns as typical for his age, believing that with our guidance, he could improve. I sought advice from my mother, and she disagrees with me, asserting that providing a united family environment could greatly benefit my stepson. Both of them label my reasons as unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Many people didn't quite catch the bathroom example I provided. Let's say we're at a park. I can't let my 5-year-old go to the bathroom alone, so I might have my stepson accompany him for safety reasons. It's the kind of thing an older child should do for a younger one. Am I the a-hole?
Let's go on a journey of a bad step-parent. So let's get into the facts. Our OP has 2 kids and is about to get married. She's blending a family because her future husband has 1 kid and he's 12. So she begins to explain that the 12-year-old, upon understanding that his dad is about to get married to her, wants to move in with him because he wants to experience a family home that has both parents and siblings. Says he hasn't felt that before. That's understandable. It's interesting that a 12-year-old would express that, but he's telling you where a lot of kids don't know what they want, especially when you're talking about emotions. He's telling you exactly what he needs. And all she's doing in this story is pointing out things that all kids deal with. No child is perfect. She says he's griping because she asked the 12-year-old to go walk the kid to the bathroom. Okay, siblings do that all the time. There's griping about having to do things for siblings all the time. She says that the 12-year-old has academic issues. A lot of 12-year-olds have academic issues. You got to work through it with them. No one's perfect, but this OP is only looking at the bad things. I did not hear one good thing about that 12-year-old through her eyes.
That's very true.
That sucks. It shows a lot about who you are. Like we always say in this channel, you've seen the world, what you carry in your heart. For her, it's only bad, unless it fits her perfect idea of what you should be.
I agree with that.
I hope that your fiance really understands where you're coming from, because I don't know if I could marry someone that didn't accept my son. That makes 0 sense. Put the shoe on the other foot. If he told you that your kids didn't fit his idea of what a kid should be, would you let your kids not live with you? So why are you throwing that on another parent? Yes, problems happen, but kids are human too. They're not robots. You don't get to say they have to be perfect or they don't get to live with us. If you put him, and the father says it, if you put him in that environment, he 100% believes that it will help. Of course it will help. It's stable. Yes, he's acting a little competitive with his siblings. That's what siblings do. You get competitive. Yes, you might not like that environment, but it sounds like he's an only child and he's not been exposed to that.
Aside from that, being competitive isn't necessarily bad. The only thing that you truly have to correct is the taunting.
Sure, and that can be, you can work on those things. I'm shocked that you would look at this child with anything other than, he's telling you what he needs. We complain so much about not being able to read kids' minds and figuring out what it is we need to do as parents, but he's telling you, I just need love. So, OP, you are 100% the a-hole. I hope that you got perspective, though, because you need it. You're about to blend families, and that's your responsibility as a parent coming into that situation, to be that guide for that 12-year-old, not to shun him out because you deem him unfit to be with your children. The second you marry that man, those are your kids together.
Oh, 100%. So the consensus? Definitely the a-hole. In fact, one of the clearest points that she never actually, in my opinion, answers one of our commenters is, you expect your fiance to be a father figure for your children, but you don't expect to be a mother to his child?
That's exactly what I was just saying.
I think that was very poignant because she was answering a lot of other people, but she never addressed this particular one, in my opinion. Now, she actually does provide us with a little update at the bottom of her post, so let me go ahead and read that. Update. I know that I am not the best person, but I never mistreated or ignored my future stepson. I care for him, and I would never think of hurting him. I realize now that I was being overly protective of my own children and not considering things from my future stepson's perspective. I was afraid that my future stepson might bully my kids, for example, excluding the younger one from activities he enjoys, like building with Legos or teasing the other one when he wins. But now I can see that if he wants to live with us, it's because he cares about his future siblings. Moreover, as a responsible adult, I understand that I have an obligation to help him with behavior and school grades. I talked to my boyfriend, and I accepted that he can come live with us. Now, we'll need to move to a new house so that each child can have their own room, and we'll have to work on getting custody. So it sounds like she's open to it. While I think I'm happy with her response, at least with having the door open, it still feels...
begrudged.
Yes. Very cold, in my opinion.
She'll have to learn. I'm happy that the OP, like you said, is at least having her eyes open and willing to hear the feedback. That's important. We're dealing with a child. I'm just happy that it sounds like she's going to at least give it a chance, and hopefully she grows in that role for her son.
I also hope the same.
Well, was that our last story?
That was our last one.
That was an okay way to end off Wednesday. Bad and then good.
Yes, I think so.
I can get behind someone learning and seeing other perspectives.
I think at least having that door partially open is honestly one of the best steps in any direction.
I can agree with that. Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We are regularly posting on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We look forward to your opinions in the comments section below.
And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.